Captain Hoff here with Founder Space. I'm the author of Make Elephants Fly, and I give advice to startups all over the world. So what do you do if you're a startup founder and you are dealing with depression? First of all, know that you're not alone. Doing a startup is incredibly hard. It's a wild roller coaster ride with incredible highs, but along with those come incredible lows where you feel like the world is falling down around you. The first thing you need to know is that, I've done 3 venture-funded startups, 2 non-venture funded startups. I've been through it all. I've been at those lows. I know I literally had to pick myself up off the ground many times because I was so depressed, and just keep going and tell myself, just try again. Just try one more time. That is normal. If you're not going through some of that in a startup, well, something's wrong. Either you are just incredibly lucky, or you're not really doing a startup, because startups are crazy. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong, and something new is going wrong every day. If it's not this thing, it's this other thing that you're dealing with. So the most important thing I've learned is to keep a perspective. You have to almost brainwash yourself. It's really important to tell yourself that things will be okay. Even when all the data, everything else points to disaster is looming, things will never work out, will never recover. The job of a CEO, the job of an entrepreneur is to stand up and say, despite everything, we are going forward, and this is the direction we're going, and then to lead your team that way. But how do you do it? How do you do this when life could be so cruel, when it can be like literally smash and grind your dreams into dust? How do you pick yourself off the ground and do that? Well, the technique that works for me is I like to think back a few years, 5 years, even 10 years. And I like to try to remember the problems that drove me crazy at that time, the things I was so obsessed about, the things that were really tormenting me and depressing me and holding me back. I like to think of those problems. And you know what? Those problems seem like nothing. They seem like nothing compared to what I'm going through right now, because right now, this problem is real, and those were, 5 or 10 years ago, and they seem trivial. And then I tell myself, 5 or 10 years from now, you're going to be looking back at this, and you're going to be saying the same thing. This is nothing. It's nothing. You think it's the biggest thing in the world. It's totally consuming you, sucking away your energy, when in fact, it's actually nothing. It really doesn't matter. Even the life or death of your startup. And I've gone through that. I've gone through life and death with startups. Even that ends up being just a footnote in your history. You're like, oh, it wasn't that bad. It's like, a breakup. You could be going through a breakup and think it's the end of the world, and then a year later, you're in love again, and who was that person that I was with, and why was I with them? Why did it matter to me? That's the perspective you need. It's the best way to do that. And you have to wake up every day and if things are really tough, you have to go through that mental process of recalling and putting things into perspective so you can see what really matters and what the path forward is. I hope that helps.